Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever part of the country you may be in or the world, and whatever time of the day it may be. This is Dr. Don with your daily LightPoint. We've been exploring this theme around leading through. What does it mean to lead through? We talked about leading through crisis yesterday, what it means to be conscious of our own leadership style and approach in the midst of crisis. Now we're going to pivot to this conversation around leading through conflict. Leading through conflict, because the reality is, as leaders, when we profess ourselves as leaders in our lives, personally and professionally, we're often faced with conflict that involves oneself or conflict that involves others. But we're in this capacity to influence how those individuals navigate the conflict. There's so many different frameworks and approaches to managing or leading through conflict, right? I want to simplify your thoughts around this. Leading through conflict, think about it in the context of the word seek. Seek. S-E-E-K. Seek. I like to simplify things when I can, and when I think about leading through conflict, it's about seeking. First, seeking to understand what grounds us in this conflict or the other individuals. How do we arrive here? Because oftentimes in the midst of conflict, we lose sight of the initiating factors of the conflict. We lose sight of why it's important in the first place, or why did we get to this point where we're at a division line, or where things have become divisive, or we're at this point of disagreement. Something got us here. Seeking to understand how we arrived here, or how the individuals arrived here, helping them understand it, sometimes can dismantle the conflict at its root, right? Because we recognize, wait a minute, what are we really talking about here? Or maybe we're more in alignment than we thought. Let's get back to where the conflict originated. So seek to understand its origin. Then seek to understand the individual's points and perspectives, meaning we have to help create space for ourselves and for the other individuals to share points of view, perspective, experiences that warrant their belief system or their disagreeing or misaligned point of view. Create space for the dialogue to happen, for the reflection to happen, because in seeking to understand the points of view and clarity, it better equips us to lead effectively, to lead objectively. So, seek to understand its origin, seek to understand the individuals, then seek out potential paths for solution or resolution. And understanding that time can be a blessing, which means you don't always have to look for the solve immediately. Sometimes the resolution or the next step is simply more time for greater reflection, because that second seeking to understand, is so pivotal in the process. Sometimes you need more time to give yourself space for perspective, or to allow for yourself to have the capacity to understand the other individual. But ultimately, if we're both agreeable that there is a solution in tow, that we both desire to come out on the end of this thing, then we both can do the work necessary to arrive at an effective solution. So seek the next step, seek the solution, seek the resolution. And there's an important distinction between agreement, alignment, and consensus. I could use other words, but let's just stick with agreement, alignment, and consensus. Not everything requires holistic agreement. Some things require alignment, meaning I've established my point of view, I've established my business case around this point of view, or the potential steps I believe need to be taken. And what I'm trying to get you to do is, through compromise, through consideration, through understanding, align with me in whatever role you play in that action or that next step. Doesn't mean you necessarily agree, but we have enough respect and regard for one another, and you have enough confidence that my pathway is the appropriate pathway, with the premise that if it doesn't yield the outcome that we desire, then we will consider yours. Sometimes alignment is what we're seeking. Sometimes consensus among the group, meaning I have majority agreement and those who don't agree align. I think it's important to distinguish that as part of your seeking after the solution in order to ensure that we arrive where we need to be. Sometimes a conflict is born out of attempting to accomplish holistic agreement in things that don't necessarily require holistic agreement. With that being said, thank you for tuning in to our daily LightPoint. Real leaders, real talk, real time.